coming to this project launched by Media Academy for Journalism and Communication. My name is Mustafa Sise. I am coordinating this project. I wouldn't get much into the nitty-gritty of the project. We have people to do that. Next to me is the Secretary General for the Gambia Press Union, Mr. Modu S. Juf. And next to Juf is Mr. Sam Mendy. He is the coordinator of the project manager. The manager for this project, as well as the managing director for Media Academy for Journalism and Communication. Next to Sam Mendy, the man on the far right is Mr. Omar Cha. Cham is responsible for our finances. Thank you very much. We appreciate your coming. So just a little bit of a rundown of how the day would look like. So if you with the agenda, first we said that we will have an introduction and prayers by myself, which have been done. Then we first plan to have a project launch statement by Mr. Sam Mendy. That will come at the end. We will begin with Mr. Modu S. Juf, the Secretary General for Gambia Press Union. So he will tell us about what the GPU is doing in terms of curbing or trying to mitigate or bring an end to irregular migration. We also have on the agenda a statement supposed to be made by Tango representative who is yet to come. In the event that he or she comes before, we will have him or her make a statement. And then after that, we will have Sang. Following Sang's statement with the question and answer session, and then a closing remark by myself. Once more, thank you very much for coming to this occasion. We really appreciate your comment.
Executive, of course, the accountant of the Media Academy for Journalism and Communication, and the project coordinator, Mr. Mustafa Sise, journalists from respected media houses here present, staff and student of the Media Academy for Journalism and Communication. Thank you very much for coming to this project launch. I think this project launch is important because as an institution that receives money on behalf of Gambians, it is important to tell Gambians what you receive the money for and how you're going to use the money within the period allocated. So, Mr. Chair, it is with profound honor and privilege that I preside over this launch, or the launch of this project dubbed Innovate to Combat Migration. Now, this project we are launching this morning is a mini grant that seeks to equip MAJAC and partners, the Gambian Media Support, a Danish-based media development organization with relevant information, understanding and insight of what is needed in terms of media and its related field to help curb migration. Now, the project runs for 3 months, July to September. During this period, we will hold series of meetings and consultations with civil society organizations, youth groups, the media, both private and community, national and international organizations involved in the fight to end irregular migration. And the idea for meeting these stakeholders is actually to harvest ideas, action points, and proposals on how to combat migration through training. Because we are a training institute, ladies and gentlemen, as a journalism training institute, we believe we have a great role or a greater role to play to combat migration or irregular migration. Migration is a development issue for both departing and receiving countries are fighting hard to tackle. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development recognizes that migration is a powerful driver for sustainable development. The relationship between migration and development is much more complex now than ever. The political, the social, and the economic processes of potential destination countries also determine how, where, and when migration can occur. It is evident, Mr. Chair, that when migration is poorly managed, it can also negatively impact on development. Receiving countries nowadays are tightening the entry points and putting in place stringent laws and strategies against irregular migration or irregular means of migration, some of which are endangering the lives of these migrants. The Gambia, like many African countries, continue to struggle to stop its people from migrating. Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, the change of government in 2016 ushered in a glimmer of hope. Many thought migration might be a thing of the past. Prior to the change of government, the Gambia was among the countries with the biggest migration pool despite its population. The push factors were unemployment or underemployment and shattered hopes, which all boils down to mainly lack of skills for some or for one to be gainfully employed or even create employment opportunities. 7 years down the line, not much has changed because young people who are actually the workforce of our country continue to embark on the irregular means of migration. This to us is a cause for concern. It is important to recognize the European Union, International Trade Center through the Youth Empowerment Project, the other development organizations such as GIZ, IOM, who played and continue to play their part by working with local organizations to build capacities for gainful employment, mainly in the area of agriculture, electrical and satellite installation, welding and fabrication, fashion, etc. And they do this actually to curb irregular migration. As a registered and certified technical vocational education and training center, working in the area of media, we believe we should create more opportunities for young people to learn skills in media-related fields to gain or create employment. Because we are convinced that when young people acquire skills in media-related field, they'll be able to create employment. They'll be able to gainfully have an employment. This is why we are on this fact-finding mission of tapping ideas and collecting information to enable us apply for funding that will build the capacity for young people in areas of communication, public relations, creative and graphic design, film and photography, digital media production and management, media innovation and entrepreneurship, etc., etc. And this will run aside our flagship journalism program. For now, our focus, as stated above, is to talk to stakeholders and harvest ideas and relevant information that we can put together, we can use to put together or put up a convincing proposal that will play its part in national development. MAJAC, you know, or in case you don't know, is synonymous to producing talents that contribute to national development. And to do that more, we need to expand our program. And that's why we are working on this proposal to harvest as much ideas as possible to be able to come up with a tangible proposal that will focus on creating and building skills in the areas I mentioned, such as communication, creative design, creative and graphic design, film and photography, public relations, and etc., etc. So we are convinced that once we bring together or we meet all the stakeholders and harvest these ideas, we'll be able to put together a convincing proposal. And that is what this 3-month project seeks to do. It's not training anybody, but it's a fact-finding mission where we will talk to stakeholders who have been engaged in migration-related issues in a bid to have as much ideas as possible and put them together in a proposal that will be implemented, if successful, in the next in the coming 3 years. On that note, I wish to thank you very much for coming, and looking forward to what comes next in the project. Thank you.
Projects that they have implemented in terms of reporting irregular migration, so that we can have much idea on how to put up a better proposal or a better proposal which will run for a longer than this one in order to cope irregular migration. How do we do this? Is if that project or that proposal goes successful, we'll be able to come up with programs like creative communications, which many youth are into, creative design, and also film and photography, in order to ensure that some people go not because they want to go. Some people go because they do not have skills to create employment for themselves. Of course, we have people who, whatever you have put in place will go, but those people who go because they don't have employment or skills, we will try to get those people, provide skills for them so that they will stay in the country and also contribute to national development. So, Selmani, thank you very much once more. So,
Journalism and Communication, Mr. Omar Cham, the accountant of the Media Academy. This is an important initiative by MAJAC, which the Gambia Press Union is happy to be associated with. This coalition building process and this pilot project on combating irregular migration, which is intended to gather ideas about how to combat irregular migration. It's a move in the right direction. Over the years, the Gambia Press Union had tried to build the capacity of journalists in combating irregular migration. And this we did working with various partners that I know MAJAC would also work with some of those partners during the course of this project, like the International Organization for Migration. In 2021 and 2022, we conducted trainings on migration reporting to allow journalists to understand the dynamics and context of migration reporting, not only in the Gambia, but West Africa, the West African sub-region. In 2022 also, we worked with IOM to hold a training on international migration laws. We believe that while journalists understand how to report on migration, it was important that they also understand the laws governing migration. There are local laws governing migration in the Gambia, but there are also international laws, governing migration. Some of them in the, regional in Africa, and some of them international laws governing migration. And we know migration is a human right, but irregular migration becomes a problem when our brothers and sisters are traveling via the Western Mediterranean Sea, going to either Morocco or the Central Mediterranean Sea, going to through Libya, and they are perishing along the way. We've lost a lot of youths. I don't know what the data would be now, but as of 2014, the number of Gambians who died in this irregular migration, according to the government then, was 500 people. It would have been more than that by now if we were able to have the access to this data. So that's why it's important that in the Gambia we try to build coalition, to bring together civil society organizations to brainstorm on this idea on how to combat irregular migration. And this is also important. Also part of the initiative that journalists have benefited on reporting on migration, one of which was a fellowship that IOM supported on migration reporting, of which 8 journalists benefited in 2022. It was implemented not by the GPU, but Globe Media, but by personnel working at the GPU. And just last 2 weeks, we've been engaged. The CFI, a French agency for media development in France, have been conducting trainings in the Gambia. These trainings were solely organized by CFI, but at least 20 journalists who are members of the Gambia Press Union benefited from these trainings on migration reporting ethics and also on fact-checking migration issues. And we believe these capacity building initiatives are something that MAJAC can harness during the course of this pilot project and even in subsequent or future projects to use the knowledge gained from journalists to create awareness around the dangers of irregular migration, but not only that, to try to create a lot more awareness on the local opportunities that are available for Gambians, and also the potential for MAJAC to help build the capacity of returnees and other potential irregular migrants, who could create employment on their own, even here in the Gambia, whereas if they are unable to get employed, and I think that is very important for us. So I think I will just conclude by saying that it's important that during the course of this project that MAJAC really utilizes the media, whether it's in the form of radio talk shows or TV or interviews and articles in the media about these initiatives. I believe there are people out there who might not be directly involved in the course of these consultations about, finding ways to address irregular migration, who would see these media publications and could come in, to support this initiative. The GPU will be involved, of course, trying to support the coalition building process, because we've been successful in trying to build coalitions in the past. And a good example has been with the coalition that we built around the access to information law and the campaign that we created around that until we had an access to information law. Thank you all so much.
Greetings from the Executive Director of Tango, Madam Desiren Bakuri. We send our greeting to all of you here present. It is with great pleasure to be here for the launching of this very important project. Tango has been a partner with you people. Without an iota of doubt, Tango support you and Tango will stand by you. After all, you are professionals, you know the power of the language as a tool, that you are aware of power of language as a weapon to combat negative aspect of migration. We all know migration is a widespread phenomenon which is impossible to fully quantify. However, its amplified is evident given that the International Organization for Migration, IMO, serve the needs of over 281 million migrants worldwide, of which 10 to 12% were undocumented or in an irregular situation. In a global context, irregular migration refers to movement of people that occur outside the laws, regulation, or international agreement governing the entry or exit from the state of origin, transit, or destination. In the EU, European Union context, irregular migration present third country national funds found to be illegally present on the territory of an EU member state. The term irregular is preferable to illegal migrants because the latter carries a criminal connotation. Illegal, or wherever you had illegal, is criminal. So it's better to say irregular migration than illegal migration. Irregular migration have also been defined as those who need to use irregular methods to enter, travel, or stay in a country of safety to avoid persecution in their country of origin. There are different categories of irregular migration. Both refugees and asylum seekers who are minors or unaccompanied minors require exchange standard of protection. Despite statistical data problems related to irregular migration, according to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the number of refugees continue to grow, rising to 27 million in 2021 only. 27 million people. Several international regulations and conventions have addressed the definition and condition of refugees and the basic right to which they are entitled. According to 1967 protocol of the 1951 Refugee Convention, a refugee is a person who, owing to a well-founded fear of persecution for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group or political opinion, is outside the country of his nationality. The 1984 Cartagena Declaration reiterates reason people have their country, including the fact that their lives, security, or freedom were in danger due to widespread violation, foreign aggression, international conflict, massive human rights violation, or other situations that seriously disrupt public order. In 2016, the UN General Assembly Summit on Refugees and Migration noted that migrants could benefit both migrants and the country is involved. For example, in societies marked by demographic aging, there are countries that are aging. They have very old people because their family planning was so successful that they have only old people. So the immigration of young workers could lessen the load on pension schemes, systems, and the cost of caring for the elderly. This is why I think there's a problem in Russia. They are all old. So if you deliver a child, you are compensated for having that child, as I heard from the news. To cut my speech short, I'll go straight to how to solve migration, because this is very key. Okay. The first thing to know is that migration is not a problem to be solved. In fact, it is a powerful drive of sustainable development for immigrants and their communities. It brings significant benefits in the form of skills, strengthening the labor force, investment, and cultural diversity, among others. Because before you migrate, when you brother or child, make sure you have some skill. Because if you go to Europe, not like in the country here, when you are a carpenter, you hold your hammer and you go around, people give you contract. You have to get skills and papers. If you, the Tubab, they want migrants, but they don't want delinquents. You go there and you are not benefiting them. You're using their resources, and you are not contributing anything. If you are skillful, like now, I had Gambia College entering a lot of these health workers, like public health workers, nurses. If you are graduated and you are certificated, if you migrate to Europe, like UK, you are likely to get employment. But somebody like from Sarajevo who cannot even speak English, you migrate, you don't even cannot communicate. That's the liabilities that they don't want to see. But they don't discourage migration. So if you are skillful, it is helpful. However, migration, especially when it is massive, involves challenges that, if properly managed, can turn their migratory movement into a source of growth for locals and newcomers. The challenge of managing migration has grown dramatically over the years, few decades, as more and more people are driven to move out of their homes by diverse economic, political, social, and environmental factors. To start with, most migratory movements are regular. They take place legally through regular channels and legal means. By contrast, irregular migration occurs when a person enters, stays, or works in a country without the necessary authorization or documents required under immigration regulations. Migration is a social phenomenon caused by a broad variety of reasons, including the search for better economic or educational opportunities, the desire for family unification, climate change, or disasters. However, migration that is not safe, orderly, and regular result in problems that the world is currently seeing unfold. As we all hear in the news, every now and then a boat has capsized, 500 people are missing, or 200 people have died. Like the thousands of migrants that have died or gone missing along dangerous migration route, or the proliferation of migrants, smuggling, and human trafficking. There was a lady who came to my office when I was in Janjambur. He said, I have a friend in Kuwait. He said, let me go to Dakar. There is a man, he will transport me to Dakar. He said, he has said, if you go, I seize her, and reported I seize from Sukuta Sabi. Say, if you go this, you are already sold. If you go to Dakar, you go to Kuwait, you don't hear what is happening in the Arab world. If you go there, you are finished. I called the mother and I explained her, and then she has to stop her. And that was the reality. Because I attended a meeting where a lady reported that she graduated from the university here. A friend told her that I have a job for you in Lebanon. She migrated her to Lebanon until she sold her already. On the whole, the host, the woman, the husband has a kidney problem. When she went, her kidney was removed and transplanted to the husband, to the host. And she was explaining that at crying at that workshop in Senegambia Beach Hotel. It's very serious. So you can see how migration can cost. It's a serious problem. It's that effect border management. In response to the growth of irregular migratory movement, many countries are looking towards border control as a solution, closing ports of entry to deter immigrants, like Tunisia is doing right now in Libya. It's very serious. But beyond border control, countries can approach migration from a holistic point of view, which seeks to take advantage of the potential to boost countries' economy while also addressing the risks of process and the causes that drive people out of their countries. Here are some of the recommendations by the IOM, International Organization for Migration Governance Framework. One, they said countries should promote stability, education, and employment opportunities, and reduce the drivers of forced migration, including by promoting resilience, thereby enabling individuals to make the choice between staying or migrating. Two, countries, the collection, analysis, and use of critical data is very important. And information on, among other things, demographics, cross-border movement, internal displacement, diasporas, labor market, seasonal trend, education, and health is essential to create policies based on facts that weigh the benefits and risks of migration. These are the things that countries should do. Three, regional cooperation can help minimize the negative consequences of migration and preserve its integrity. It can also contribute to regional and global development goals by improving human capital through sustainable development and ensuring long-term economic growth. One of the sustainable development goals is human capital, because these are the only things that can help stop immigration. Migration has the potential to bring positive socio-economic outcomes for both society and migrants. For countries to reap these benefits, their policies and practices need to advance the socio-economic well-being of migrants and society, while adhering to international standards that respect, protect, and fulfill the human rights of individuals with a state territory without discrimination based on nationality, race, gender, religion, or migration status. We wish MAJAC fruitful and successful implementation of this project. We look forward to collaborating with you more in our drive for sustainable development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark.